Okay, so we're looking at machine learning generally. So the course we studied at in Benue State University before the strike, we're looking at the purpose of machine learning, the overview, the concept of machine learning, and how to extract knowledge from data, and which is what we looked at. Then we're trying to use Python for our lab work, but unfortunately, we didn't have much time to do that. We can also use MATLAB or Weka for the lab work. So primarily, the area of artificial intelligence, particularly in the area of machine learning, were to look at supervised and unsupervised learning, regression and classification. Under classification, we're looking at we looked at k-nearest neighbor, decision tree, support vector machine. Then under clustering, we explain what K-means is and SON. Then dimensionality reduction, this is what we're yet to do, which we'll be looking at CPA, CA, and ICA. Then other methods and application. So for today, I just want to give a brief lecture on machine learning and its application and basic concept. I will dive a little bit into linear regression. So what is learning? According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, learning is the activity or process of gaining knowledge or skill by studying, practicing, being taught, or experiencing something. Using the computational definition of learning, Tom Mitchell said that a computer program is said to learn from experience E with respect to some class of tasks T and performance measure P if its performance at tasks in T as measured by P improves with experience E. So both things are pointing to gaining knowledge through thought or through experience, which is what machine learning entails. So machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence. I've explained to you in class what artificial intelligence does. I explained to you that it has branches, and machine learning is one of the main branches that is studied and also used for implementation of a lot of problem solving in either in natural language selection, in voice recognition, in other areas, maybe in web data analysis. So machine learning is a set of tools that teaches the computer how to perform a task, giving an example. So in essence, we have some form of training set that is taught to follow a particular pattern, and it's not explicitly programmed. So it enables computer to function without being programmed. So the essence of machine learning is to train a particular set of data using a particular algorithm, which we call classifiers, and testing this by evaluating and see whether the model can be generalizable. So what is the machine learning workflow? Machine learning workflow is same like any other data mining workflow or artificial intelligence workflow. It starts with a problem. You need to know what you want to solve. Do you want to solve a statistical problem, or do you want to solve a machine learning problem? You need to know. For a machine learning problem, you want to find out patterns in the data. You want to use computational approach. Maybe you want to use, you want to find some kind of prediction or forecasting or making inference from data. So you need to know the problem you want to solve. Example, if you have data in web mining and you want to find meaning out of those data, that is a machine learning problem. If you have voice and you want to recognize whether it's speaker A that has that voice or speaker B that has that voice, that is a machine learning problem. Also, if you have a language and you want to find the context of that language, that is also a machine learning problem. So sometimes you want to statistically analyze data to find the difference in mean or the difference in standard deviation, or sometimes the difference between a group mean, or you want to find a correlation. That is the statistical problem. So it's not a machine learning problem. So before working on any machine learning, we need data. And this data can be primarily sourced or secondarily sourced. By primary source, we say that we collect this data by ourselves. either through questionnaire, through study groups, through interviews, or through experimentations. But most times for machine learning experts or people that use machine learning, data is provided somewhere because we have voluminous of data available everywhere online. So most times we need to find meaning in this data. So those data we get online or through different sources are the secondary data set because they are collected by people. Ours is to find meaning and relate them and find patterns in that data. So when we collect this data, probably from the secondary source, they are sometimes very noisy. When we say data is noisy, it means it has some level of impurities, it has some level of missing values or inappropriate representation of some parts of the data in some columns or all that. So sometimes we have to clean this data. So the process of cleaning this data is to remove those impurities, sometimes removing outliers, and also removing those noise. Sometimes you have missing columns, you have to replace it with the mean of that column. Sometimes you have missing cells, and you have to also replace that. So this process of doing this, it's what we call data cleaning. So when we have clean data, we visualize it to see if we have still missing values or we have outliers, and that you can use graphs like histogram, graphs like scattered plots to find outliers and remove them. Then sometimes we want to scale every feature into the same scale. Because if I have data point like 1,500, and I also have other columns having 0.3, 0.2. So the best thing for me to do is to scale it so that they can be in the same scale, so that maybe each of the columns that are input variables can be on maybe a scale of 2 decimal points. So that is also part of data transformation. Sometimes you use the logarithm of that value to get data that can easily be used for accurate predictions. The next part of the workflow is knowledge discovery. This is where the actual prediction is done. This is where you use either decision tree, you use either k-nearest neighbor or k-means clustering to find patterns in data, and you predict. Then optimization, when you finish predicting, sometimes there are errors, so you want to rework the whole process so that you can optimize, you can get better predictions and reduce errors. So that part is what is optimization. So basically, we have 4 parts of machine learning that you look at. Look at data gathering, data cleansing and transformation, knowledge discovery, and prediction. So for every data analytic problem anywhere in the world, or artificial intelligence problem anywhere in the world, or let's say data mining problem anywhere in the world, these are the 4 steps that I use. So sometimes we have a statistic problem, we have machine learning problem. Both machine learning and statistic problems, they entails discovering patterns in data. And also they use mathematical theories like calculus, probability, linear algebra, etc. But the difference is that in statistics, it involves interpreting data and mathematical rigor. However, in the machine learning, it involves predictive performance, so getting high accuracy in predicting the data, and also involves scalability and autonomy. Now, applications of machine learning. Machine learning can be used in different scenarios, in different concepts, and in different areas. Machine learning can be used for natural language processing. For instance, if I'm looking for the word risky, and I'm typing risky on a search engine, and it's not giving me what I want, and maybe the search engine might produce something like peril or detrimental as a substitute for risky that I was using. So that process of trying to find that contextual or domain meaning of a word is what natural language entails. So it's used most of the time in processing linguistic interpretation of data, and also for semantic interpretation of data, normally in a particular context or in a particular domain. Speech recognition. Most times we want to talk, and we want such talk to be translated into or transcribed into written form. So speech recognition can be used for this purpose. And most times, for the fact that we have different accents, we sometimes need a proper machine learning algorithm to help also translate, even though we have different accents. Then computer vision, we use it for facial recognition and also handwriting recognition. For instance, if we have a database containing images of people and we want to cross-match those images, we can use machine learning algorithm to do that. Then for web data, a lot of data is generated on the web, and these billions of data generated are just there. Most times, they are not interpreted. So through machine learning, we can interpret this data and find meaning in there. It can be based on searcher behavior. It can be based on e-commerce applications or reading behavior. And you can get interpretations of this data using machine learning. So other for also engineering applications, example, pothole detection. One of my recent papers I wrote with some of my colleagues on using artificial intelligence to detect potholes. We use machine learning approaches to do this. So machine learning approaches can be used generally in different facets of human endeavor. So we have two types of machine learning. We have supervised and unsupervised, though there's a third one called reinforcement learning that some writers of book also include, which I will also explain. So supervised learning is that entails a labeled data. So the examples are labeled with correct answers. So you can actually map them that, okay, the input has A and the output has B. So you can map that. So examples of the classifiers used for the supervised learning is a regression, decision tree, random forest, k-nearest neighbor, logistic regression, etc. Then in the case of reinforcement learning, here agents are used to maximize output based on the perceived outcome. While in the unsupervised learning, the data set is not labeled with correct answers. So you have to find patterns. And that's why we use clustering. For instance, we have a space where on social media, people are writing about hate words. And you can't actually identify which is hate words, but you can use certain patterns to determine what hate words is. It can also be for facial recognition. You can't say whether somebody is smiling or being angry, but you can predict based on certain behavior to say that this person is angry or not. So in such cases, you use clustering techniques to find out that. So example is the k-means and a priori algorithm used for supervised learning. So I explained to you in class certain concepts in machine learning. These are the ABC things you need to know. Just like for you to use spoken words, you need ABCD to put them together. These particular things I'll be explaining now are what you need to know as a machine learning